Hi everyone! Welcome back to Building World Peace, an interview series showcasing modern mystery school initiates from all walks of life who are working for the same mission of building world peace. I am Ling, your host, and I am a teacher, a guide, and a ritual master in this school, in this ancient lineage of King Solomon. And today I have with me a fellow initiate, Angel Latterell, who has a lot of great stories to share with you and I. Hi, Angel.
Hi.
Angel, could you briefly introduce yourself to us?
Sure. Yeah. So as you said, I'm Angel Latterell. I myself am a guide, ritual master, and healer in this lineage of King Solomon, but I'm also an attorney and instructor, teacher, professor of project management and other types of transformation systems out in the physical world. But I do a combination of the metaphysical and the physical in this realm.
So, Angel, before we get into hearing more about you and your story, if you could let the viewers or listeners explain to them what is a modern middle school and also what it is to you. And knowing that some of the people who are watching this, well, most of them have never heard of it.
Yeah, so the Modern Mystery School is, well, and it's an amazing place because it's a school of training where we can learn how to use esoteric teachings, spiritual teachings, and apply them to our lives as practical tools for our own personal development and for the betterment of the world. Because as you get to know yourself and as you get to apply that knowledge of yourself, you transform yourself for the better and then become a beacon of light for others. And the mystery school, in and of itself, is one of the best places to get the most effective and efficient ways to finding yourself and the tools, not so that you have to keep going back to a teacher to tell you what you know, but that you can become your own teacher and truly learn who you are and have the tools to expand who you are for the better.
Thank you, Angel. Um, well, could you share with us now then, how did you get to where you are today? Any
Yeah.
story that comes to mind?
So my journey to this place in time is well, in some ways it's a long one, and in some ways it's a short one. But from the time I was a young child, I was seeking. I was actually raised Catholic and was put in Catholic school at a very young age. And when I was really young, I actually was talking to spirit, to Jesus. And if anybody has experienced religion, Catholic or otherwise, the idea is that you need an intermediary, like a priest or somebody to talk to spirit, to talk to God. So I was actually shut down as a little kid when I was saying, "Hey, I'm talking to Jesus." Like I was actually having conversations uh, with him, and the nuns and the priests were like, "No, you can't do that." But that seeking spirit stayed within me as a child, even though it was shut down. And it took me until I was 18 years old, having sought in different places, that I actually was able to find my Buddhist practice and start meditating and chanting, which helped me immediately overcome a severe eating disorder and social anxiety that I had. And getting onto that Buddhist practice really saved my life. The meditation and connecting to that energy within, to realize I have space to be a person in this world. I have power within me, and I can start on the path of learning how to love myself and to grow into a person that can help others find that within and save other people's lives as well. And that true compassion that I learned for myself in the Buddhist practice is what then kind of pushed and propelled me forward, both into my career as an attorney, because I really wanted to help people. But ultimately, when I found the mystery school, that compassion, that light, that way to know yourself really resonated. And so it what happened was, like, through my Buddhist practice, I ended up going to law school and learning that law school and being a lawyer isn't actually the training is not about learning how to help people. The training is really designed to break you, to turn you into a tool of the system. It's quite a jading process. And because I had a Buddhist practice throughout law school, I was able to keep my light and to keep moving forward. But I found when I went out into the corporate world, when I first started practicing law and I was holding that light, that light actually caused a lot of people to reject me in some ways. I didn't fit in law firms, and the practice of law was actually quite miserable because it was about transaction, it was about money, it wasn't about helping people. Uh, so that um, that miserableness that I actually felt while practicing law actually caused me to fall into a deep depression and a little dance with alcoholism. Actually, like while I was practicing law full time, I was using alcohol as a, and yeah, using alcohol as a way to self medicate to kind of numb the real ugliness because you're taking on other people's problems. You're not getting any release from taking on those problems. And oftentimes you're getting a lot of criticism from your peers, at least in the law firm culture that it was. It wasn't about lifting people up, but using essentially negative criticism as a way to motivate through fear and otherwise. And it was a pretty miserable existence, which pushed me out of a law firm. Like I couldn't stay in that culture, and I couldn't stay on the path of using alcohol. Like it was just not it was affecting my health, it was affecting my well-being, my ability to be a light in the world. And I actually left the state I was living in when I had that opportunity, leaving that law firm, and moved to the West Coast. And when I moved out to Seattle, Washington, and moved into this lovely house that was a little bit like a hippie commune, I actually found my friend and guide, Carla Clark, and she introduced me to the mystery school. And although I still had my Buddhist practice, I had kind of plateaued, and I was a little stuck. I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? Because I'm not being an attorney. I was working in a children's hospital where I got a job as a project manager by pure luck and my volunteer experience. Uh, but I was floundering because I didn't really feel like I was along my path of purpose. And when the mystery school was introduced to me with both, I initially thought it was really weird. Actually, there was people doing like Kabbalah study groups in my house, and I was like, "Huh, these people are interesting." And it's funny that I thought they were weird because I was a Buddhist. I chant out loud every day. I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo loudly to a scroll. That's not a normal thing. But I was like, these people studying Kabbalah are weird. But but there was something really alluring to the energy that they were working with and that desire for self-improvement. And since I had reached this plateau in my life and was kind of wandering and still feeling like I had a big purpose, but I didn't really know how to get there, that eventually allowed me to take the Empower Thyself class. That just whatever that lure was, I was willing to get out of my own way, take Empower Thyself, and then eventually start on the Kabbalah path myself, which ironically led me back to being an attorney. But, or not so ironically, because I started learning about my self worth, like where I needed to have boundaries with people. And that allowed me to become a better attorney, to both value my time, value my energy, but value my wisdom, and using boundaries as a means to having good relationships with my clients and actually choosing what type of work I chose to do, which brought me to now that, like, I was initiated in mystery school over 10 years ago. And by just continuing to step forward on that path and grow myself, I eventually also grew myself such that I could leave the corporate world so that I could launch my own consulting company, law firm, and spiritual guide practice. And what I do now is focus on building foundations for individuals for abundance in their business and in their lives through both transformational consulting on a corporate level, but also in good estate planning and business startup practices, in the legal realm, and then as a spiritual guide. And in my own podcast, I'm about how do we use our true power within through knowing ourselves to transform ourselves and our environment to grow the life of abundance that we want to live, and so that we can make this world back into the garden that it is today. So that's a little bit of a winding path to say where I am, but ultimately, yeah, it was the path of know thyself that led me back to finally becoming an attorney that can help others, and also what I think my true purpose is, which is being a guide. So which is really, here's the path to know thyself so you can live your purpose and be that light for others to show through my own example that it's possible.
Wow. I love it. It's seriously, that is amazing. Um, it's amazing too, doing kind of three different things are three basically being multidimensional, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
as in a way wearing many hats. That's what we're meant to do. When it's not meant to just be, waking up every day, go to work, do the one thing, and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so cool. It's funny because I was gonna ask when you said in the beginning you said that you got into Buddhism, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like at 18 years old, I was like, wow, you got into Buddhism at that age and still went to law school.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you gonna manage? uh,
I was very lucky to be Buddhist and in law school. Like it was a dark time for a lot of people around me. So
yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know many lawyers, but I've heard, like the thing you talk about alcoholism, and they have to, not they have to, but many of them, for them, it's kind of the only way to be able to survive and to handle all the pressure, or we can call darkness, in the
mm-hmm.
field.
No problem.
And you also mentioned that you have been working, or you were, organizing events for world peace and things like that. I didn't know that, and that is the topic, of our
Mm-hmm.
interview today. So I want to ask you, Angel, what does world peace look like to you?
Yeah, world peace to me means we've reached a place where, if not everyone, at least a majority of the humans on the planet have reached a state of self awareness and self love, such that we can work in harmony with each other. And that we're all seeking from a place of love and compassion to continue to grow and work with each other, and recognize that we're in a garden of abundance, that we're not in a space of lack, and that we can live in abundance without anyone ever losing anything. And it's also a place where everyone's growing and everyone's open, and no one's trying to stay the same. That recognition of constant change and transformation as being a good thing, and how we work in a both macro and microcosm, as within, so without, as above, so below, and everybody being awake and aware to that, and allowing us to be in harmony as humans, working together in unity. I think would be another word of it. We don't. Uh, I used to call it an educated anarchy, because through self-awareness and things, we don't need laws and paternalistic systems that tell us what to do, because everyone has a sense of personal responsibility. They're taking full responsibility and owning their lives. They're owning how they're authors in their lives, but they're also owning how they interact with other people, and then how we can create a great society, much like Martin Luther King talks about in his philosophical works, where we're all connected to our divine purpose, to God itself, and thus we're working together in peace, in true harmony towards both our individual purposes, but the purposes of humankind, and nature, obviously, to not be harming other living beings on the planet. And I think part of world peace involves that as well, to be in harmony with our environment, because as within, so without. So our environment reflects our inner life, and those that are destroying their inner self and don't love themselves have no respect for the living beings outside of themselves, not just humans, but the planet. itself, our trees and the animals and minerals, everything. So
Wow, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I am on board with that vision. Did you have a moment that made you realize that world peace was possible, or was it always just been something that you believe in?
It's from the time I was a small child singing. There's a hymn in church. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. There we go. I'm like, I know this quote. I've used it in my poetry. But from I always loved that hymn as a child, and I didn't always. Well, I've not been ever trained musically. Actually, I have a little bit of a wounding around that. We had nuns that like actually poo-pooed us young people that were singing from our heart, even though we might not have been singing in the most beautifully trained way, but it was from the heart. But that aside, like, yeah, I loved that hymn, and that let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me just was really in my heart from the time I can remember, honestly. And now I'm getting emotional. But the conversations I had when I was a little girl with Jesus were about like this: we have to start with ourselves so that we can show people that it's possible, through love to create the world. That's why I came to show everyone. So you need to go do that too. So, which is why I kept seeking a way to find it both within myself and, to show others that it was possible.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I mean, the quote, I'm gonna save that. And yeah, the little, yeah, I'm glad you had those moments and you remember them and you still honor them, the moments as a little child. And I'm also grateful that you continue to listen to your heart, and now here you are being actually, being an adult and being able to live those beliefs and those energies that you have was able to perceive as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. It is very beautiful.
Yeah. And the practices I have encountered in my life, and we when we're in alignment with our purpose, the universe continues to give us, and we're able to see the synchronicities around us. So my ability to find a Buddhist practice on the first day of college, when I moved from my town, like as 18 years old, to run into other women my age that were chanting and finding this way, and then that Buddhist practice to be not a priest-based practice either. Like it was all about empowerment. Like if you have your daily practice and chant and you transform yourself, you're going to transform the world. There's a quote from Daisaku Ikeda, who's the president of the Soka Gakkai International, which is my Buddhist organization, that says the revolution of a single human being shall create the human revolution for all. And it's much like Gandhi, says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And then when I found the Modern Mystery School, and those teachings were, of empowerment were resonating in there again. But the idea of know thyself is ultimately, if we know ourself, then we can also transform this world back into the garden and create that world peace. And how we just need a quantum number. And it's so true, like across philosophies, that the idea of a quantum number of there just needs to be like less than a third of us that awaken, that truly know ourselves, so we can turn this place into a place of light and bring Shambhala, bring world peace, bring Kozen Rufu, bring the kingdom, bring the garden, whatever terminology you want to use. But the heart is there, and I have just been so lucky to keep encountering that message and being open to it in my life, that I'm like, yes, I will do this, and I will be of service to help others find
That's amazing.
that quantum number.
Being able to, I mean, the skill to, not just work for something, but the skill to listen and to be able to stay open to things that you may not know, or things that may seem weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a skill, and that's something that I feel many people have forgotten, right? Like it's kind of being so I'm a software developer. I work in the tech field, right? And definitely very mental, and I could see in myself and in others that if you listen to your intuition, you kind of discredit it in so many ways. And
Mm-hmm.
so, again, it's very impressive that you'll be able to stay balanced. And I truly hope that there will be more and more of us who, yes, we can, be all the science, do all the science, technology things that we want to, which is, because science and technology are all great and they are all part of world peace. That's, for me, that's right. They are here to help make our lives easier. So
Mm-hmm.
they are part of world peace, but they are not everything, right? They're not everything. We need to bring back the spirit, the intuition, that trust in ourselves. I think ultimately it's the trust that you're gonna be okay even if you do something stupid or something you consider stupid, right?
Right.
With that, with that trust and trust in ourselves, and ultimately trust in, for you is, the universe, whatever term, like God, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I definitely am. I love. I really enjoy talking to people, in the science field who have been able to, who are in the mystical school really, because you must have at least some level of um, trust in yourself and your intuition to be to end up here,
Right.
right? Otherwise, if you just talk about data, 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 show me the data, it's like it's just not gonna, you yeah.
Yeah.
Just gonna
If
take
I'd
you there.
followed the safe route, I'd still be a miserable attorney in northern Minnesota, probably with very little liver left. Like, honestly.
The safe route, that is so true. Again, right?
Mhm.
Hiding behind numbers, data, other people's experiences, other people's reviews. Um, yeah, I love getting all chills listening to your stories. And Angel, you kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but could you maybe elaborate on how, you have this vision of world peace, you have this knowing, and then how are you contributing to that vision, to that building of world peace? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, as I've done a lot of work on myself through the mystery school path by choosing to step onto the ritual master path, and then ultimately choosing to become a guide and be in 100% service, when I made that first step as a guide, and they were told that, things will change for you now because you're in 100% service. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but now a couple years in, I am really clear on in what way that means, because what I'm doing to contribute to world peace is I am being 100% authentic in who I am. And all of the training that I've had in my life, both being an attorney, being an instructor or a project manager or an instructor thereof, and now being a guide, I can blend all of that together to put myself out there in the world to show people that you too can be authentic, and you can hold this juxtaposition of what isn't necessarily looked at as normal and still be successful and abundant. But specifically, I focus my talents on what actually, because I know myself better now and I am truly authentic, about building foundations of abundance in one's life through learning what laws of abundance, for lack of a better word, because this is what I call my brand, my podcast. But how are ways we can live, how are ways we can set up systems in our life that create abundance, well-being, and joy? And my law practice is truly focused on creating those foundations and containers for abundance by people through estate planning, which we're creating trusts for people, which is a container of abundance so that their family can be protected. And they also have and create an enriched good communication in their family systems through using the vehicle of estate planning, which is a very non-traditional approach to estate planning. People are just like, let's get you the right documents and then we're going to put them in a safe and you're going to never talk about it. Whereas mine is based on love for your family. So how do we plan so that we can protect your family if you're no longer there? But how, while you're here, can we leave a legacy of love through good communication, through talking about the systems that are going to be in place if you're not there, so that when the worst case scenario happens and they do lose you, you've got people that will have the space to grieve, and they won't have to worry about the legal bureaucratic stuff. And actually, you've probably set up a system that is going to leave your family in a better financial place than they would have been otherwise, which, even if you don't have a lot, you can actually build wealth from very little if you have the right systems in place. So there's that part of my legal practice. And I also help people build strong containers for their businesses so they too can be entrepreneurs. And I have a bit of a niche practice of working with people who are in the realm of more metaphysical energy healing. And I've helped a lot of people launch businesses, whether it's focusing first on a side gig while they're still in corporate, and just in growing that and just learning how to live an entrepreneurial lifestyle, and how do you look at your life from a place of abundance and being able to build more than taking the handout from a day job, so to speak, that trade of your time of being a wage slave. Like, how do we free ourselves into that? And so really helping people see that part. So I do that as a lawyer. I also do that as a coach. And even in my project management training, I actually start people with thinking about abundance mindset, building win-win, and gratitude. Like, how do we use gratitude as a practice, which is a gateway to get them into meditation, which is a gateway to get them into personal development. So luckily, there's a lovely corporate book called The 7 Habits of is it 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Yes. Stephen Covey.
Highly effective people.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I can use that as a bridge into talking sometimes about metaphysical options without using metaphysical terminology, because not everybody in corporate or that's trying to get project management training is comfortable with that. But I'm able to do that, and I make that the foundation of them learning to be good project managers. Because if you are not self-aware, if you're not a good communicator, if you're not good at building relationships, it doesn't matter how many technical skills you have at building a schedule, you're going to be really bad at being a project manager, because as the face of a project, you have to be a leader. You have to have a thick skin, but a thick skin to be objective, which means you know yourself and you don't get emotional, you don't get attached, you don't take things personally. So you can help others, and then they trust you because you are being objective, you are being transparent, you are doing it for the sake of the project, and you are a really self-aware person. And so you're going to have more job satisfaction and more success as a project manager if you have this foundation of personal development, which is based on abundance mindset mentality, not lack mentality and competition. So, and then I'm, as a guide in the mystery school, I'm going straight from the metaphysical. Know thyself. Here are tools. I'm going to not give you fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish. Like, here are tools so you can transform your life, a daily practice every day, so you can know yourself better, so you can feel like a stronger human being. You can love yourself. And if more people could love themselves, that's how we're going to get to world peace ultimately. But if you love yourself, you can also build an abundant life, and you don't have to be thinking about lack and survival. You can be thinking about thriving to a place where you are actually capable of being in service to another.
So, Angel, I want to ask you, for for anyone who's listening, watching this, and they are so excited by your vision, by your energy, and they would love to work with you in some capacity, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I have quite a few ways to do that. So you can find me on my various websites. So my law firm is called Latterell Law, and my website is latterellaw.com. And then if you are seeking more of a spiritual way, you can just, if you Google Angel Latterell, you'll get to my website, angellatterell.com, which shares my whole spiritual practice. But then bridging those two, and a way that I'm out there in the world quite a bit, and if people want to get to know me a little better, and these laws of abundance that I speak about, I have a podcast called Laws of Abundance, Legal Advice from an Angel, that is all about, it's very less legal, but it's about laws of abundance and these different words of wisdom through my experience. And I use practical examples from life, but then talk about spiritual things. And the link to that podcast is from both of my websites. And as well as if you go to YouTube and do Laws of Abundance, Legal Advice from an Angel, you'll find my podcast there as well. And so you can reach out to me through through my websites, and I would be happy to talk to anybody more about all of those things. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all those links down there, on the video and also in the description. And I have listened to a few episodes, and I love that they are very short. Like they are in because easily digestible, if that's the right word, and and definitely very practical. So, please go check out her podcast, and maybe subscribe. I don't know, do whatever it is that people do nowadays to get to get connected and follow and whatnot.
Yeah, you can subscribe in all the ways. My producer has made it really
So many
simple for
things.
people to get all of the content. Uh, yeah, and the content's very short and digestible. The longest podcast is 12 minutes, so it's a great way to start your day, or listen while you're doing something else. But you get just little, really good sound bites of inspiration and different ways to think about stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Angel. I guess that's it for today. I would love to have you back at another time, maybe for another topic. I mean, all about world peace, but for different angles, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Well, I'll see you, and I'll see the viewers, the listeners, very soon. Bye.
Thanks, Lynn. Bye.